What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another Tottenham update. I'm joined by Stel, who's taking over from Ben, who unfortunately is not with us today, but we have some Spurs news to get through, and we're going to get Stel's opinions and everything, and let's get right into it. First of all, we're going to touch on what Antonio Conte had to say in his press conference today, which is actually live on our channel right now if you want to go over and click it. The press conference is live, but here is some snippets which I thought were quite interesting, and I thought we should go into it. First of all, when Conte was asked if Ndombele wanted to leave in January, he responded, "It wasn't right or honest to talk about players coming or going until he has spoken to the club." And he says once the meeting with the club has happened, things will be a lot clearer. Do you think that's alluding potentially Ndombele being out of the club? What do you think about that response? He's being quite vague, but do you think if he really believed he wanted Ndombele to stay, he would be a lot firmer straight away?
I think... One, he's brilliant in press conferences. He always gives you a thorough answer. He doesn't just yes, no, maybe, we'll see. It's always, he'll give you a bit more of an explanation. I think that's quite an interesting response because what he's saying is things will become clearer. That suggests to me there's going to be some kind of public announcement. Because for it to be clear, you need to say to us, Tangai's leaving, Dele's leaving, Doherty's leaving, Lo Celso's going on loan, Tinganga's going on loan, for example, or they'll be transfer listed and that news that's leaked is the communication. Or he will be able to say in a week's time, yes, we're selling Tanguy and Ndombele. So it suggests to me that there's going to be some kind of official public communication about what's going to happen with players in our team. I hope that's the case because that's what we want to hear. Or the alternative is, we'll find out when a transfer happens. But for him to say things will become clearer,
I think he's probably just talking about his position with where he stands with the players in the squad will become clearer. Maybe that's what he's alluding to, or it's going to become clearer what he wants or what the players want, basically, after that meeting. I don't know if I would be very surprised there's an official announcement about any of this.
But he was specifically asked about a player.
Yes.
And he said things will become clearer.
Yeah. Between him and the club, I would assume, not maybe between him and the player, not between us, I don't think, or the press. I don't know. That's how I would read into it.
I interpret that as we are going to find out. And,
interesting.
And it might not be, breaking news. Tottenham Hotspur list 10 players on the transfer list. These are the players. 1, 2. Not that super clear, but I think it's going to be, like you said, there'll be a form of communication, whether it's indirect or direct, where we will know what's what.
He was also asked about Harry Winks, and he says he was asked if Harry Winks is going to remain at the club or if there's a chance he'll go in January. He said, Harry Winks will stay here. He is a player I can count on, which is obviously a lot of people looking for him to leave in January, but a couple of good performances looks to have changed a lot of things in terms of his standing in the squad right now. And are you all happy with that situation?
I'm super happy. I've been defending Winks for years. I've been explaining why. It's a lonely road defending Harry Winks.
Trust me. Yeah, I know.
I'm going to give a quick shout out to Holly Agombar. She's got a Harry Winks doll. she's a lover of Harry, and rightly so. Harry's a player that I've always known is good, but he has to be playing the right position and doing the right things. Not deep, trying to dribble around our box or having too many touches around the box, because he did that again against Southampton. He almost gave possession away in a dangerous area. That's not his strength. If we're going to keep Winks, I think he will end up being more of a important squad player than a prolific out-and-out starter week in, week out. Because I'm also realistic with Harry Winks. As much as I think he's a good player, he's also missed a crucial part of his development as an adult. From 21 to kind of 24, he's missed a fair bit because of his injuries and not getting as many opportunities and not starting as often. Can we buy a better player than... Of course we can buy a better player than Winks. But if you're going to win a title, we need a good squad. Is Harry Winks showing he's good enough to be in the squad? I would say yes, absolutely.
I agree with you.
And I think that's what Conte means by, he's going to keep him. Because he is. He can turn to him. He's beginning to trust that he can turn to him, right? And that's the players that, like you described earlier on when we did the tactics show, he wants players that he can trust.
Yeah, and I think his Winks is turning into one of those players. He was also asked about Hugo Lloris and asked if he thinks Lloris wants to stay. He says, I think so. I think Hugo wants to stay at this club. He loves the club. He stays well in Tottenham, and this could be this could be his opinion. Lloris is getting on a bit. He's 34 now. He's still club captain. His contract actually runs out in 6 months. So in January, he's actually allowed to start to talk to other clubs if he wants to in terms of a pre-contract. For you, would you want Lloris to sign a new contract, or should we start looking in the future for a goalkeeper, do you think?
In the words of Cody Mack, if Lloris leaves, we're fucked.
Profound. Profound.
Official tweet from Cody Mack. Yeah, I want him to stay. He's a world-class goalkeeper. I think sometimes we as fans, we focus too much on the fact that he doesn't come off his line enough from set pieces, and that his distribution isn't where we would like it to be. But everything else, he's top class. Penalty saves, shot stopping, just his overall confidence of being a quality player in the team. I want Lloris to stay. I do think we do need at some point to start looking at a replacement, because he's been in the club for 10 years. Mm-hmm. He's not going to be here for another 10, maybe not even another 5. And I do think that maybe from a personal point of view, he would like to go back to France one day, or like to try maybe something different before he completely ends his playing career. So, but at the moment, yeah, I would like him to stay another. If he stays for the duration of Conte, I'd be super happy.
I completely agree, and hopefully Conte can help convince him to stay. We're talking about January signings as well. Conte in his press conference, he was asked about the likelihood of them. He said, for sure, asked about if he's assessed his squad. He said, for sure, after only 2 weeks, I said we need to improve the quality of this squad, and for sure we need to. I was sure after 7 to 10 days about this, and then I had to make the evaluation over what I can count on and who I can count on and who I can't. So obviously Conte being very forthright about this squad needs improving. This squad, if you're going to compete for big things and we're going to be important, this squad needs a massive improvement in quality, and he's pretty much a stay. He said he knew after 7 days that was the case.
3 things. I've got a long answer.
Okay.
I know it's only a 10-minute video.
No, it's all right. Go for it.
First of all, Mourinho in his prime, and he's a manager I do respect as much as it didn't end well with him at Spurs. In his prime, he was amazing. Mm-hmm. He once said, within the first month of taking a job, you know what the problems are and you know what you need to fix. So for Conte to say, very early on I spotted them, I'm not surprised, because that's an elite manager at work. He knows what he's looking for and he's identified it. Secondly, the most important thing when I'm talking from a coaching perspective now, Sim, the most important thing as a coach is get to know your player. If you do not know the player, how on earth do you know what to develop, how to develop it, how to communicate with the player, how to get the best out of them, how to know how to react when things aren't going well, how to know whether, like you said, whether you can trust a player, whether they're part of your plans, because your plans might not suit them. Can you adapt them? You need to get to know your player. And I'll be honest with you, that takes a long, long time. So I don't think Antonio Conte has gotten to know all these players the way he would really like, but he's probably gotten to know them enough to know what decision to make. So that's the second thing. And the third thing, Sim, I've been saying it for a long time. This squad is not good enough. So if Conte comes out and says, we need a lot of work done to this squad, it's music to my ears. And this is why I love Conte, because he's a manager that is admitting it. And I think that's what's going to end up happening. If you want to get Europa Cup, maybe sneak a cheeky Carabao Cup, yeah, this squad's probably it's got the ability to do it. But if you're talking about a sustainable year on, year out, top 4 team, go for the Premier League, try and win a Europa Cup or a Champions League, you're talking Poch's team. This squad is a shadow on that. Mm-hmm. So, listen, I back my manager. I think every Spurs fan backs this manager. He's won us over very early on, and it's music to my ears hearing that.
Yeah, absolutely agree, and I really hope we have a busy January. Next up in the segment is Christian Romero, and Conte was talking about Christian Romero, about his recovery, and thankfully we had Christian Romero.
Who's that?
We forgot about him already, eh? He's on Christian Romero. He said everything is going in the right way with Christian. For us, he's an important player. It was a pity that he suffered a serious injury with the national team. We hope for him to recover very soon, and I hope to have him available at the end of this month, which is, I guess, now, is it? Or the end of this month is December, I'm guessing? Or maybe it means January.
I think that means January.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
But how important is Romero to us, do you think, in terms of how we play and what he can do? And how important will it be to have him back?
As it stands now, I think he needs to fight for his place. I don't think he walks back into the back line. Do you drop Sanchez? He's been playing really well. Do you drop Dyer? He's been playing really well. Ben Davies, he's not a left-sided player. So who does he replace? He needs to fight for his place, I think, right now. Whereas before, that wouldn't have been the case. But because we've had to adjust without Romero, one thing we can say is we may not have been playing the best teams, but the back line has stepped up.
It has. But how Sanchez plays, though, and how Conte likes to play with those centre-backs, like going into the final third and going like kind of unmarked because, you know, the defence are thinking about a wing-back or a forward and a midfielder, and then a centre-back turns up and they don't know what they're doing. Like, Davis does that really well, and I feel like from the other side we don't really have that with Sanchez. He doesn't really do it as effectively, and potentially Romero could do a really good job in that kind of role, stepping into midfield or the final third and being an option there. And we could be a lot more unpredictable potentially with Romero in the team than Sanchez.
I agree with your thinking, but I disagree that will happen. If you look at Romero's heat map when he did play, he was very defensive. He barely got forward, so I don't think that will happen. What I do think will happen in the long term is Romero will go into the centre of the back three like he was playing in Italy. And at the moment, I think Dyer's got that role because Dyer's the most senior defender we've got at the club. But I think over time, that entire back line is going to change. I don't think the long term of this club in terms of 2-3 years down the line is going to be Davies, Dyer, Sanchez. I think you're going to see, although they're doing well now, I think you'll see quite a lot more change, and Romero will go into the centre of that future three. But short term, he'll probably fight his way back into the team and go into that right side of the three. Whether he's more forward, I don't know.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Yeah, good point. Next up is Conte. According to TalkSport, Antonio Conte is not convinced by Pierluigi Gollini, the goalkeeper Spurs signed from Atalanta last summer, and could potentially look for a different option. From what you obviously he has, I don't think he's played under Conte, to my knowledge. Did he play in Mura? I think maybe he played in Mura. So maybe he played one game. Well, from what you've seen so far, what do you think of Gollini? Do you think he has a future here?
Listen,
it's only a short sample size, but
it's impossible for me to make a
judgment.
Yeah, he's not played for us. He's been a backup goalkeeper. The only thing I will say with Gollini is pre-season under Nuno, I thought Alfie Whiteman was brilliant. Some of the saves he was making, he caught my eye, and I thought to myself, who is this goalkeeper we've got? Is that actually Alfie Whiteman? I know who Alfie Whiteman is. Is that what he's like? I didn't realise he looked really, really good. So when we signed Gollini, I didn't quite understand why we spent money on a position that I felt we had a player that looked like he was a sufficient backup. Maybe it was experience, maybe it was a bit odd, but he's not that old. He's 22. How old is Alfie Whiteman?
Yeah, about that. No, sorry, he's about a bit younger. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's not really bringing that much more experience. So I was very surprised we signed him. It's not a position I thought we needed to spend money on, but
he's actually Gollini. He's 26, I think now.
Oh, is he older?
Yeah, he's
okay.
Older.
So we probably bought him because we needed a more experienced backup. But I would have taken a chance with Alfie Whiteman because he's one of our own. He's English, homegrown, so we meet the quota of English players, and he looked capable. So I was a bit surprised Gollini came in. So yeah, this is a weird one, Gollini. It's just an odd one. I know there's quite a few fans that aren't impressed by him.
I know, yeah. I think in the Conference League, he didn't make any glaring errors, but he did like a lot of shots from long range were going in and stuff like that, which a lot of people always look at the goalkeeper. But yeah, as you say, he never got a consistent run of games really to prove whether he's up to the job or not, and he's never played in the Premier League yet. So we don't really know, but that's what TalkSport is saying. Fabrizio Romano has been talking about what could possibly happen in January. He says an important January is expected for Tottenham. Definitive decisions have not yet been made on Steven Bergwijn, but he could be sold, and the idea is to buy at least 2 new players. So he's saying there's at least 2 new players. When it comes to Bergwijn, they're saying no definitive decision on him, but he's obviously upped his game of late. It's a bit similar to Winks, but is there still one where if an offer comes in January, you're thinking, yeah, maybe we could use that money to get a better player, or do you think, look, he's playing quite well, maybe give him to the end of the season?
So I've got 2 schools of thought on this one. Personally, I would sell him, but if I'm going to be, like I said, balanced and fair, the young players we've got, Rodon, Tanganga, Romero, Bergwijn, Hill. I'm sure there's more I've missed out. They need to be given a significant number of games back to back. Even if they have 1 or 2 bad games, don't drop them. Mm-hmm. Give them 7, 8, 9 games. Keep them in that same position and see what happens. And then I think that's a fair way to judge that you're ready for this. Now, Bergwijn hasn't had that, as have any of these young players. So it's very hard to judge Bergwijn on that basis. But if we're going by just now, what we're seeing, and if the end game is to try and win the Premier League, right? If you look at Prime Poch's team, which player do you drop for Bergwijn?
None of them.
So that's probably where I'd be looking to say, if Premier League is the long-term aim, then he's got to go, because he doesn't fit into what we regard as an elite team that can challenge. But at the same time, the caveat is, has he been given a genuine chance to show us? And that's the sticking point.
Would you, as in when you see him for how he's played recently, can you make too much out of these performances? Because he's playing quite well recently, but is that enough to convince Conte that he's worth sticking with?
It's about consistency. When Oliver Skip plays, he's going to play. He's going to turn up for us. With Bergwijn, we can't say that. Partly because he is inconsistent, but partly because, like I said, has he been given those 7, 8, 9 games? And this is the sticking point, Ben. And this is where, for me, sorry, Sim, beg your pardon.
It's all right.
I was calling Ben Sim all day on the other day, so now I'm going to call you Ben. It's such a tricky one, this. It really is. Personally, because he doesn't get into a Poch team, that's why I would sell him. But I'm thinking here, now, success, imminent. If you're thinking project, then you got to give him time and then decide.
All right. Next up, Ali Gold has been talking about potential centre-back options, and he was talking about Steven De Vrij, and he says De Vrij, who has another 18 months left on his contract, is more in the ballpark of what Tottenham were looking for. He can play on the left side of a back three, a position I understand the club believe they have a gap to fill to compete with Ben Davies. Do you know much about De Vrij? He obviously playing very well at the moment, Dutch centre-back for Inter Milan. When it comes to Ben Davies, obviously he's playing very, very well at the moment. And he's proving to a lot of people he has maybe a future in that left centre back role. But if he gets injured, we've already seen Tanganga has to come in. We're a bit short. How important is it we get someone who can compete with him through the door, and someone of De Vrij's quality?
I don't know much about this player, so it's I can't really give you an answer. What I would say is, can we do better than Ben Davies? Yes, we can. Yes, we can. And again, Ben Davies never got into the starting Poch team. So, I always kind of go back to that just as a barometer. Or what I ask myself is, what are our main competitors for the big trophies? Chelsea, United, Liverpool, City. Do any of them sign Ben Davies? No, they don't. No, they don't. Some fans will argue, yes, they do. Yes, they do. I don't think they do. So that says to me we can do better than Ben Davies. If this player, who I don't know much about, if he's better than Ben Davies and he's serious competition, then yeah.
Have to get him through the door.
Yeah,
100%. And he's a Serie A winning centre back, and he's a fine player. So I definitely would look for him. Last but not least, more from Ali Gold. He says, talking about Adama Traore, he says Paratici likes Adama Traore and wanted him to sign at Juventus. He's got 18 months left on his contract. I'd imagine a deal next month in January would be difficult to do, and it's still very pricey. When it comes to Adama Traore, obviously we're linked with him under Nuno. Do you think potentially with the system we play with wing backs, maybe he could be converted by Conte? Are you a fan of him? Are you one of those players who looks at what he can do or what he can't do?
The key thing you said there was Paratici liked him.
True.
He's not the manager.
Yeah.
There's Conte like him. You know, this is where we can go wrong again.
But he's one of those players who just has supreme ability, doesn't he? But it's just whether he can marry that with being effective.
This one's not going away. This Adama Traore thing just keeps popping up time and time and time again.
Are you a fan of him?
I love him because I think he just causes chaos. A player that causes chaos is just ripping defenders. You watch him, you think this guy's just... It's hard for any neutral fan to not watch him play and not see the chaos he creates. The big argument for people that don't like him or like him as a player is there's no end product, there's no end product. That's why you have coaches. That's why I have a manager. Harry Winks had no end product apparently until Conte came. If Conte wants him, that means he thinks he can develop him. I'd love a powerful, impossible player to defend against, wins you free kicks, rips defenders out of position. I'd love a player like that in the squad. I think that's the kind of option that just brings you something different when you need it. Is he a regular first team starter? That bit I don't know. I am a fan, but
he converted.
He still needs developing.
He converted Victor Moses into a wing back when he was at Chelsea, and you know they won the league with him there. What do you think about Adama Traore potentially playing at a wing back position? Do you think he has it in him?
A lot of his success comes from when players overlap, and it opens up space. Well, actually, that was under Nuno. He's still doing stuff now, and that's not Nuno, so maybe he's more versatile. I would say, no. I think his strength is going forward and just down the middle, down the side, and I think he's more lethal down the middle. I just think he's just. If you're a defender, what a horrible player to have to try and deal with, you know. And he asks so many questions of the other team. What are you going to do to stop me? Physically, I'm going to beat you. Pace, I'm going to beat you. Skill, I've got it. It's just that last bit. Wing back, probably not.
No, probably not.
Probably
Fair
not.
enough. All right. Well, that is all we have time for today. Thank you, Stel, for joining me for another Tottenham Update. Letting me know in the comment section below your thoughts on all the everything we discussed today. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.